What's up, guys? We are back with another Super 7 Ultimates review, jumping into a brand new line for Ultimates. We're taking a look at Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and I wasn't sure which figure I was going to do first here because we've got 5 different figures. We've got 2 Rangers, we've got Goldar, we've got a Putty, but we've also got a Zord, and I had to go with the one I'm most curious about. So we're taking a look at the T-Rex Dinozord. Now, these guys still come in familiar Ultimate style packaging. This one just happens to be enormous. You still got the slipcover. We've got the lightning burst on the front. You've got the T-Rex coin embossed on the front. You've got your Ultimates logo on the top. We've got our classic Mighty Morphin Power Rangers logo there on the back. Of course, take that slipcover off and you have a tremendously large Zord there in the big window. You've got very 90s inspired package design here with the lightning bolts, with the classic logo down there, and then you've got a shot of the Zord on the back, you've got the coin, you've got the name, and then you've got a bio for what's going on with this particular Zord. I'm very happy with the way these boxes look. Bit of a nostalgia trip for sure, because of course Power Rangers was humongous for me as a kid, but let's do it. Let's pull this guy out and take a look. And here we go, out of the package, Super 7 Ultimates T-Rex Dinozord from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Again, this is the figure that, I mean, it's just the weird one amongst the wave. I have to take a look at it first because I know how Super 7 figures work for the most part throughout their lines. This is the most unique thing that we've gotten from them at this point. So I have to take a look at it first just to see what's going on here. And honestly, I'm pretty surprised with what it can do. It's not perfect, and of course, you know, look at this thing. It's super boxy dinosaur design is going to get in the way of some articulation because it very much kind of looks like they went to just make this look like the suit shrunk down into figure form, which I'm kind of on board with. So let's see what he can do, see how he moves around. We've got a head that has really, really good range here. Up and down, you've got swivel side to side, you've got rotation. It even still has a neck hinge. It's really, really minor, but it's better than nothing, right? And it certainly does get it to look up a little bit better. You've also got jaw articulation. We've got arms that are definitely limited. They really can't do much when it comes to going out. That's about it. And it's mostly because of this design. You've got this huge like breastplate that sits over top of the shoulders, basically. And that's how it's supposed to be, so it's going to be locked down because of that. You've got in and out. We've got our elbow, which has okay range. It's a T-Rex, so, you know, I'm not too upset about what it can or can't do here, especially because it didn't do a whole lot with its arms anyway. You've got wrist hinge and rotation here also. We've got our, I don't know if that's waist, like top of the stomach right there, this cut. It's just a waist cut, there's nothing else there. Legs go in and out. They're okay. They go in further than they go out, which obviously doesn't help all that much. But they do go out a good bit, and they swivel, because this is, of course, you know, how he stands normally, but you're going to use this as your point to, like, get him to crouch over, so he can kind of rear down and hold himself up this way. And you can get the balance working pretty well on this guy. We've got our knee, and of course, you know, he is structured a little bit different to begin with, but you do have some knee in and out, and there is a little bit of a swivel there also. At our ankles, we've got hinges, and I did have to heat up the ankles. I wasn't really sure what else was down there, so I heated them up and took a chance. And he's got some, honestly, really, really nice rockers down here. They're kind of squeaky, but they help aid in balancing him really well. And you've also got some, it's kind of a rotation because of just how this joint is shaped, I think. And then we've got our tail, which I was really curious to see what they were going to do with this because it's supposed to be segmented, so it wasn't likely going to be a bendy wire. It's a series of ball pegs, so each of these segments gets a ball peg. It doesn't do anything where it like meets the butt, but you've got swivel at all of these points, even at the end, and then it can go in and out, up, down, swivel side to side. It works pretty well, and it's pretty sturdy enough that it holds its shape. Like, I've not had any issues with it drooping down or anything like that. So I think it's pretty well articulated. You know, I'm going at this figure in the sense that this is the suit sort of shrunk down, which is very much what they are going for with this aesthetic and vibe. And I think it works pretty well. This is very much in line with what I was hoping it would be able to do. I knew it wasn't going to be doing any crazy kicks through the air or any, you know, Kamehameha style charging up, you know, poses or anything like that, but he works pretty well. He's very, very sturdy, and if anything, I didn't have any issues whatsoever when it comes to stuck joints or any of that kind of stuff. Everything feels pretty tight and neat and where it needs to be. I just had to heat up the ankles just to free that up a little bit, but otherwise, I'm really, really happy with how this thing moves. Now, in that same vein, I'm also really happy with how this thing looks. There may be a little bit that I would like to change here and there, but for the most part, this really works for me. A lot of my interest with this figure wasn't just to see, you know, what they could or couldn't do with articulation. It was to see how they were going to translate this suit into an action figure and how big it was going to be. Because this thing is very different from anything else we've ever gotten from Super 7, and different in a good way. This is really, really unique, and it's just cool to get a Dinozord that isn't meant to transform into a Megazord. Like, that on its own is worth the price of admission for me, because, you know, we don't really get that kind of stuff. You either get the Megazord or you get nothing, and this guy is very much something that's meant to stand on its own. I think the sizing is really nice. Of course, we're going to do size comparisons, but I mean, I think it's all about the sculpt here and all of the little greebling detail all over. I mean, it's not tons, because that's not what Power Rangers was known for, but there is little, you know, hits of line work and all this sort of techno-y, goofy stuff down here, like on the ankles, that really bring out the sculpt and make it look a little bit more unique. It, of course, has a very striking color scheme, and for the most part, I think the colors are nice. The head does seem to be a touch lighter than the rest of the red. It's kind of hard to describe. I'm honestly not sure if that's a problem or not, but it does seem to be a little bit different. Paint is really clean and crisp where it's applied. There's not tons here, and that's one of the areas where I feel like they maybe could have done a little bit better. Like a lot of these lines all over them, I feel like they might have done with some kind of a black wash, because pretty much anything in old Sentai footage was just dirty and gross, so a lot of the Power Ranger Zords in particular were pretty heavily weathered in many areas. I'm okay with it otherwise. I mean, it's certainly not a big deal, but it's one of the things that, like, I see the lines all over this neck and on the face and in these legs, and I feel like, you know, maybe they could have been hit with some black or a little bit of gray or something like that. Otherwise, though, I mean, the paints are really nice, like all of this stuff, whatever this sort of stuff is supposed to be on the legs. You've got the green hit there, you've got the little chest emblem, tons and tons of silver metallic paint, so everything on here is painted when it comes to the silver. All of this stuff on the legs, the torso, the arms, the face, all that good stuff, and then, of course, the tail. Again, I do really like the way the tail works. I'm happy with this. It seems very sturdy, but it also looks good, and I think the ball joint aspect that they went with to sort of play up the segmented nature of this tail does work really, really well. You've even got a bunch of paint and detail, and back here, sculpt, all kinds of stuff on the back. So, like, you know, what looks kind of like, you know, exhaust ports or stuff like that. And then we've got our head sculpt up here, which I think looks pretty great. You've got the opening jaw, of course, and you've got the two, like the twin cannons in there that, they don't do anything, but he's got cannons in his mouth. You've got the blue eyes and then more of that silver up there on the dome. And then you've got the makings, you know, right here for the fins for the Megazord head once it's all said and done and transformed. But this thing does look really cool. And it almost doesn't feel or seem like it belongs in Ultimates, especially alongside, well, other Ultimates. It just doesn't look like it's really part of the line. But at the same time, once you get it in your hands and you can feel how it's made and see how it moves, you pretty much immediately understand who made this and where it comes from. But I think it looks really cool. I'm very, very happy with it. And if anything, after seeing this one, I am dying to see what they can do with the other Dinozords. Now, as far as some size comparisons go, let's start with some Ultimates. So we've got Transformers Optimus Prime on the left. We've got the Disney Hyacinth Hippo on the right. And you can see they're about the same in many ways, but at the same time, they're not. Optimus is one of the biggest regular figures in the line. Hyacinth is, you know, a big fat hippo, so he's huge anyway. But this thing is like everything that's big about both of them combined in one. So it's also tall, it's boxy, but it's also really, really beefy. And then, of course, it has, you know, the tail in the back, which makes it like the deepest thing thus far in the line. So it is very much its own thing. And this is kind of why I said it doesn't really feel like it belongs in many ways. Like, it just sort of seems like a different kind of toy. And then let's take Optimus aside, and here is a turtle, and I think this is really going to hammer it home. So there's Raph. I mean, he comes up to about the elbow on this thing. So this thing has a lot of height, a lot of size, and a lot of depth. Now let's take Hyacinth aside. Let's go outside of Ultimates. So here is the Masterverse 2 Bad. There we go. And, I mean, he's a big figure, but he's not even as tall as the T-Rex. And then let's take Raph aside. Here is a Mythic Legion. And then let's do one more, something very, very different, definitely much smaller. Here is an SH Figuarts Vegeta, Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. He's a tiny guy to begin with. He looks very sad being stacked up next to the Zord. But you can get an idea of exactly what this thing looks like. It's huge, it's bulky, it's tall, it's long, it's deep. Any way you want to measure it, this thing is big. Now, as far as accessories goes, the T-Rex really doesn't have a whole lot, and I'm not so sure what it could or should have had beyond what they gave us. And honestly, there was one thing in here that I completely forgot about or was unaware of entirely. So we do get some extra hands. So you've got these sort of like loose claw hands on him in the box. You get a set of splayed fingers, so you sort of grappling hands. So you get two, set as two. And then you get a set of fists. So you get 6 total hands, you get 4 extra hands. We get these 2 little rangers, so we get one, they're sort of painted. You've got this one where he's like calling the T-Rex. Of course, it's a red ranger. It's got a little base, so the boots are painted, the gloves are painted, and the belt is painted. Nothing else. And then we get another one. Same situation, boots, gloves, belt, painted, just red little slug guy, but he's really tiny. He's meant to, this one's basically meant to like stand probably on the I guess the head, the helmet, the hood, whatever, the hood of the T-Rex as he's, getting ready to jump into the cockpit. So you get these, I get the idea behind these. This is the kind of thing that I'm going to look at it wrong here in about a day or two, and it's going to be lost forever. And then the last thing that we get, and this was surprising, at least, and especially to realize what it was made of. So we get a T-Rex power coin, and this thing's full-on real metal, which I was really surprised with. I guess I didn't realize that it came with this, or I'd forgotten, or if I did, I had no idea it was metal, because it took me by surprise. But it looks pretty good. The T-Rex in there kind of, pulling its way through the coin, and then you get the Z on the back. I'm really happy with this. It's really heavy, really weighty. It's not anything I actually need, but it's a cool little fun inclusion. So he doesn't come with a lot of stuff. He's got some hands. That's pretty much the big thing. The one thing I would have liked to have seen, and I could be entirely wrong on whether this works at all, is some sort of energy effect. I know that at some point there has to have been something. I know he has like a sonic attack. I swear the T-Rex had something that came out of its eyes. And even if it didn't, just for the fun of it, this thing has cannons in its mouth. It has to use them for something, right? Whether we see it in the show or not, I believe that it can blast somebody out of its mouth with this cannon. So that would have been cool just to shove some effects in there and, fire Goldar or something. So he's got a few things, not a ton of stuff. I don't think that's the big selling point for this figure, but I would have loved to have seen some kind of energy effect just to make it a little bit more dynamic. So yeah, overall, I am really happy with this guy. I think Super7 did a pretty solid job with this T-Rex Zord. Again, it's the weird figure. It's kind of the odd man out when it comes to this wave. Hell, with Super7 in general, this is a really, really different kind of figure. So I had to check it out first, and I'm glad I did. I think this might be one of the favorites of the wave just because of what it is. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I really haven't put it down since I got it out of the box. I think it looks fantastic. I'm really, really liking the idea of just having a T-Rex Zord for the sake of that Zord, not needing to be combined into a Megazord or anything like that. And I think Super7 did a good job of presenting that idea, giving us something maybe a little bit more screen suit accurate. And it's just a big, beefy, chunky robot T-Rex. I'm pretty happy with that at face value. He comes with a few accessories, not a ton. I do really, really like that coin though. It's not necessary, but it's a fun little thing to find in the box. So that's going to do it for this look at the Super7 Ultimates Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Tyrannosaurus Rex Dinozord. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.